my students wanting to know why something works the way it does, or why something looks the way it is, or why something has happened the way it happened. How did we end up in this situation? Those types of questions are what I really look for in my classroom. When you have a question like that that just drives you and you have to find out, and that occurs in your students also, then you've got something to get started with and to really have some amazing learning occur. The oyster unit that I use every year now began about 5 years ago. We were on a field trip learning about how important oysters were to the Chesapeake Bay. And we came back from that trip, and after listening to an environmentalist group tell us that they shouldn't be harvested and this should happen to help save these oysters, and those watermen were saying there's plenty of oysters and we can harvest them forever and they just should leave us alone so we can make a living. And those students came back with questions that I couldn't answer at all. I had no idea which group was right. You know, what's an oyster? I'm from Minnesota. You know, I had no idea of their impact. My students became very curious about who was telling the truth. And we spent so much time after that trying to find the answers, and we ended up finding out that there really wasn't one right answer. Many issues that we have in life don't have one right answer to them. You have to then take all the information that you have gathered and decide for yourself. What's your focus going to be? What's your advocacy going to be? Why then are oysters so important to the bay? Josh?
Because when they're in the water, they filter the bacteria and stuff out of it to where it's cleaner and you can go in it and stuff, and it's not stagnant.
Okay. Elsa?
The water needs to be clear so that the plants on the bottom can get sunlight so they can grow and have air in the water so the little critters can breathe.
Okay, absolutely. What do plants provide in the water that would be very important for the other creatures that live in the water? Philip?
Plankton.
When I design a unit, I keep in mind where I want to go, beginning with the end in mind, I guess is what you would say, and I will only have a couple major things that I really want to accomplish with that unit. One of the big concepts that I want my students to understand every year, since I work with environmental science, is to understand man's impact on his environment. Another one is to understand that there are interrelationships between organisms in any one environment. These are our baby oysters, and we're going to find out if they've grown at all. Okay? We're going to be taking a look at them in a little bit and seeing and measuring them and comparing them to the size that they were a month ago.
You want to measure something?
Oysters are a keystone organism in the Chesapeake Bay. They're very important to the bay, and so it's very important that my students understand that. And what they have been working on is understanding how oysters are food and they're filters and they are fish habitat. They've been working specifically with the filtering part of it, and they constructed filters of their own just to see if they could do as good a job as an oyster does in filtering water. Okay, could I have my 4 judges up at the front, please? You're going to have 1 minute for your water to go through, and then we're going to see how much of it went through in that 1 minute.
She's doing the timing scale. I'm doing creativity. She's doing accuracy and what are you doing?
Neatness.
The neatness.
All right. You can start timing as soon as I've poured the entire contents of this in. Go. How much time they got left? We all have to have fun, and if we're not having fun in my classroom, then we're not going to have the interest that we need to have in learning things that are really exciting.
We had, well, it's not in there anymore, but it had a little makeup remover, and that took away a lot of dirt. This didn't take out a lot of dirt, and it just went in one little line through these, and then this was what caught a lot of water right here.
Our oyster unit is one way that I have of helping my students to understand that man has an impact on his environment. The second thing is that what occurs with one organism in a particular ecosystem has impacts on all kinds of other organisms. And in some ways it even has impact on the non-living part of that ecosystem. By using that focus on oysters, my students have a way of understanding those big ideas and also developing ways of becoming advocates for the environment.